In the video, Locating Consciousness and Going Beyond It, which I will link in the description, we talked about that space from which it seems we are thinking. And then I asked the question, who or what is aware of this definite sense of a thinker? If you haven't listened to that video, I encourage you to do so before going on with this one. It isn't mandatory, but it would be helpful, especially if you are new to the exploration of non-duality. Having pinpointed the awareness, the knower behind that sense of thinking, your essential being or higher self, whichever term suits you, you have discovered the great secret of the ages. You have found Christ consciousness. It is also called the Buddha nature, Atman, and Brahman, among other things. The Church has often misunderstood Christ consciousness and Jesus to mean the same thing. Jesus was the dear brother who discovered the Christ consciousness within himself and presented it to the world. And he found it in much the same way you and I find it now, by self-examination. He went within and noticed the awareness that knew his thoughts. He found his own essence, his higher self, then lived from that place of knowing so fully that Jesus, the living example of Christ consciousness, became known as Jesus Christ. Christ isn't Jesus' last name. It isn't even his middle name. It's an awareness of being one with all that is. And when we look at Jesus the man to call him God, without also seeing that same God within ourselves, what we are doing is creating an idol. Jesus becomes the graven image talked about in the Ten Commandments, Exodus 24. So what is the way to avoid creating idols for ourselves? We must go back to awareness. We must bring our attention time and again to that space in which our thoughts arise and disappear. We must commit to losing ourselves in the essence of our being. In other words, we must seek the kingdom of God before everything else. And when we do, all the things of life will be added unto us.